Welcome to Sitcom Showdown, a podcast that reviews classic sitcom episodes and inducts them into our very own Hall of Fame. As usual, one of us has chosen a sitcom episode and the other guy has no idea what it's going to be. Will they already know it? Will they love it? Can they be convinced that it's worthy? Let's find out on Sitcom Showdown. Hello, thanks for joining us again on Sitcom Showdown. Steve, it's your turn this time around, and what delights have you got for us and for the Hall of Fame?
Oh, today I'm going to delight you with The Office US, and it's an episode called The Dundies, which was the first episode of Season 2. Yet another Season 2 episode.
Here we go.
Let me tell you about The Office US.
Okay.
Well, it's a mockumentary, which I don't know if I should say obviously or not, but it was based on the UK version of The Office, but instead it's set in the offices of Dunder Mifflin, which is a paper company, and this particular office is in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The staff are united by their suffering under the madcap leadership of their manager, Michael Scott, and also his assistant to the regional manager, Dwight Schrute.
Oh,
an interesting character. And the other major storyline going through The Office US is the story of Jim and Pam and their relationship. That's a big feature.
Yeah, you get some genuine moments that can bring you to tears with Jim and Pam.
Absolutely.
Oh.
So it's one of those sitcoms that's got continuing storylines, and there are other minor ones, or lesser ones than Jim and Pam's relationship as well. It's on the NBC network, and it's in the US, and it ran for 9 seasons between 2005 and 2013.
That's success, that is.
9 seasons.
Oh.
They had to be doing something right. Yeah, and again, it seems that the ones that have got this ongoing storyline often tend to be the ones that continue on for a longer period of time.
Do we think so? Is this a recent thing, or do you think that applies?
I'm thinking about Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Cheers. Don't know what other examples
Cheers
there
had the
are.
ongoing romances and stuff. But I'm then thinking, as a counterpoint, well, look at, Hello, Hello, and Are You Being Served? Hello, Hello is probably a bad example because that was all ongoing threads, but
Well,
I've just ruined my own argument.
You're arguing my point for me.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the Croft and Perry sorts of things. So Are You Being Served did not have an overall arc, and that ran forever, and Dad's Army ran forever, and that didn't really have an ongoing arc either.
I don't know whether those shows would ever go for that long in this day and age, though.
No, people would say we've been there, we've seen it. But certainly in America, it's a completely different ballgame because they're doing 25 episodes a season rather than 6 episodes a series.
Oh, okay, so Dad's Army and Are You Being Served, they were 6.
Yeah, generally speaking, or more. I mean, sometimes 12. But, it's more impressive to know, wow, an American sitcom's done 9 seasons. Because that's 9 seasons, which is probably 3 or 4 times the total output of a UK one.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. What else have you got for us there?
What else have I got? Well, it's an ensemble cast, a big cast, and there's quite a lot of talent in there as well. There's too much to go through in detail, and the cast does change a bit over time, particularly towards the end of the run, so maybe the last 2 or 3 seasons. But there's the core cast of 4 characters, which is Michael and Dwight, who we've already mentioned, Jim and Pam, and I don't think it's any surprise that those 4, in terms of the layout of the office itself, they're pretty much right next to each other. Michael's office, you've got Jim right outside that.
Yep, next to Dwight.
Yep, and then he's then Dwight, and then you've got Pam, who's the receptionist, sitting just to the side of them as well, and you can see each other. I'll see these characters from different angles and get the reactions in shots and all that sort of stuff. The other characters, there's about 7 or so other regular characters. Phyllis, Creed, Angela, Oscar, Stanley, Kevin and Toby. And then there's other recurring characters as well. There's not a depot, but a warehouse that's attached to the office itself. So the characters in the warehouse recur. Then you've got the manager that's sitting over the top of Michael.
Yeah.
And, those sorts of characters. Let's talk about some of the actors. Steve Carell, probably the best known of the lot, who plays Michael Scott. He was best known prior to The Office for Saturday Night Live. But then as The Office was running, he got into a movie career, which continued through the show's run and has continued since then as well. And he left at the end of season 7. Some of my favourite movies with Steve Carell in it are Despicable Me, Date Night, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day.
Right.
You probably haven't seen that one. That's
No.
a family movie. That's a pretty good one. Ed Helms is another one. He played Andy, who started as a character in season 3, and he went on to movie fame.
With The Hangover.
Yeah, kind of similar thing to Steve, where he started doing movies, I guess, in the downtime or whatever, between Office seasons. So he did The Hangover and started from there. Mindy Kaling, who plays Kelly Kapoor, she's multi-talented. She's actually the writer of this episode, and she was also an executive producer and a director on other episodes.
Ah.
And she went on to star in The Mindy Project, which is a sitcom that's still running at the moment. I think they're 3 or 4 seasons in. And BJ Novak, who's similar to Mindy, he acted in The Office. He played Ryan, and he wrote and directed episodes as well. He's gone on to other things. John Krasinski, who plays Jim Halpert, the prankster. He's had a movie career, and he's written and produced things as well, so he does lots of different things. The last one I wanted to mention was Catherine Tate. Did you know that she was a regular in the last 2 seasons?
Yeah.
You did?
Because when you recommended it, I mean, there was probably about 2 years gap between you recommending I watch it and me actually watching it.
Okay.
So sort of coming in the middle of it there. But it was fun to see Catherine Tate there.
I got a real shock when I saw her there because obviously she's playing one of these lesser roles, but obviously at this point she left the UK where she had a pretty big career.
Massive career, yeah.
Was this after she'd been on Doctor Who as well?
I think it must have been, yeah.
I guess you just did it to try and establish yourself over there.
You wouldn't turn it down, would you?
Oh.
No way.
Certainly not. And as we've said, it's been a vehicle to launch lots and lots of careers, so yeah, possibly not a bad move. So Jeff, you're just saying that you've watched The Office. Where did you come into it? Did you?
Well, after that I went back and watched the earlier ones, so pretty much watched it straight through, just not in the order it was on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of binge watching in there. And then, of course, in the later seasons, you get the whole Andy becoming the boss and Dwight's not very happy about this, and then Dwight having a go and da-da-da-da-da. And then, towards the end, you've just got the churn of characters had been so much that it had gone from will they, won't they in the early days with Pam and Jim to, at the end, they're the married couple, so you have to bring in the new tension between Andy and, I'm sorry, I forget her name, who was the new receptionist.
Yep, I know who you mean. I can't remember the name.
Why can't we remember the name? So they...
Erin.
Maybe it was running out of steam, but yeah, I watched pretty much all of it.
Yep.
And I always found it enjoyable.
I dropped out after the end of season 7.
Oh, what was happening at the end of season 7?
Well...
Steve Carell had left.
Yeah, Steve Carell had left. So there was basically shuffling of the manager's position, I think. Yeah, so I watched pretty much all the way through season 7, and then just recently I had a sick day and I went back and watched the last 4 episodes, I think. And I thought they finished it off really well. They tied it all together really well. Yeah, so at the end, what happened was Dwight and Angela got married.
Oh, this is bringing back memories. Okay, right.
And at pretty much the same time, they'd obviously been filming this show for 9 years, and they were actually having the screening of the TV show or the documentary that they made out of this. So that was going on, and they had the local community centre or something like that. They had a thing where all the characters got up on stage and were answering questions from members of the public who'd watched the documentary. So it was quite an interesting thing how they finished it like that.
And was there a lot of, because all these secrets and all these events and things that certain members of the office knew about and some of their workmates didn't know about, that would have all come out in the screening.
Yeah.
And was there a lot of concentration on the recriminations from all of those things being unveiled?
No, there wasn't much of that. There was people asking Jim and Pam questions about their relationship and all this sort of stuff. So it was quite quite a bizarre scenario.
Oh.
Watching the character be questioned about their relationship from someone who was watching it as a documentary, and yeah, it was really interesting how they did that.
So why don't we then, Steve? We'll go off and watch this episode, which I'm already quite excited to watch, and then we'll come back and go sum it up for the listener.
Sounds awesome.
So you ready for the Dundies?
You know what they say about a car wreck where it's so awful you can't look away? The Dundies are like a car wreck that you want to look away, but you have to stare at it because your boss is making you.
Well, we're back.
We're back. And Jeff, can I just say thanks for putting the Swedish subtitles on during that episode? That really added to it. It was fantastic.
That was a slip of the hand. That was.
Oh,
Awesome.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Well, tonight is Dundies night. The Dundies are the annual unsanctioned awards night for Dunder Mifflin in Scranton branch. They're about the best in every one of us, according to Michael. But we soon discover that only Michael and Dwight actually look forward to the Dundies. For everyone else, it's a form of torture because Michael uses it basically as an opportunity to show off his stand-up comedy skills.
Oh.
I'm using air quotes around the skills there. And he can be monumentally insensitive in handing out these awards as well. Which, for an example, which leads us into the second plot thread, we discover that Roy and Pam have been given the longest engagement award for the last few years. And Michael thinks that every year it gets funnier because another year has gone by and they're still not married.
He's not wrong about that, though.
Yes, but it causes
Insensitive,
a massive,
sure.
a monumental amount of embarrassment. And we actually, one of the things Pam does in this episode is she's been given the task of sitting down to watch through the videos of previous Dundies nights, because Michael has videoed every single Dundies awards, presumably to watch himself at work. And she comes to the bit in the previous year's awards where she and Roy get this award for the longest engagement. And you see Roy going up to accept it on their behalf. And he says to Michael, "See you next year." I don't know if he's just trying to make light of it or not, but it's just horrendous. But it seems like he's got no intention of marrying Pam. Anyway, Jim sees this going on, and so he goes in to see Michael later in the day and tries using his powers of persuasion to get Michael to give her some other award rather than the longest engagement.
Michael doesn't seem very receptive at first, does he?
He thinks, it's going to be even funnier this year. That joke kills, and it's going to be funnier this year because it'll be another year on and they still haven't got married.
I stand with Michael is that technically, that's funnier, but I also agree with you that it's just hideous for poor old Pam and Roy and anyone that actually likes them. Yeah.
Yeah, well, obviously Jim's got a bit of a crush on Pam and wants to spare her the pain of going through this again. So he's trying to manipulate Michael into not giving out this award. And then there's the third plot thread which is that someone's written some unflattering graffiti about Michael in the ladies' toilet, and Dwight gets wind of this and decides he's going to get to the bottom of it. So the Dundies go ahead that night, and they're being held at Chili's this year, which is a restaurant. And when the staff discover that Dunder Mifflin aren't paying for their drinks tab, this does not go down well.
No.
Roy and Daryl decide they're not, if they can't at least get drunk, then they're not going to sit through this torture, so they decide to take off, which sparks an argument between Roy and Pam, and the boys leave, and Pam comes back in. She sits down next to Jim and starts drinking his beer, and then proceeds to drink pretty much everyone else's drink as well, I think. The night goes on, and some of the other patrons who can blame them? They've had enough of Michael doing his routine. They start heckling and throwing stuff at him. They've had a gutful. So he's actually embarrassed by this and decides to stop proceedings, but Pam, who at this point is completely hammered, she encourages the staff to stand up for Michael, and she gets a chant.
She's a one-person cheering squad.
Yeah, well, she actually gets them cheering, Dundies, Dundies. So Michael takes heart from this, and he decides he's going to finish handing out the awards, which includes Kevin's award for the Do Not Go In There award, which is because Michael went into the toilet
after Kevin
one time.
Paid
It was
the
really
price.
smelly. Yeah, he paid the ultimate price. And Pam gets the award, not for longest engagement, but for the whitest sneakers. And she comes up to get the award.
She's so happy.
She's so happy. She gives this classic acceptance speech. And she's so euphoric at the end of all this that she kisses Jim in front of everyone. Shock horror. And at the end of the night, when everyone's leaving, Pam declares this is the best undies ever. And we discovered that she was the one who wrote the graffiti about Michael.
Mm.
Not because Dwight gets to the bottom of it, though. It's because she's just mentions it to Jim.
In a drunken state?
Yeah, well, I think someone's bringing the car around to give her a lift home. So they're sitting there having a chat while they're waiting for that. Anyway, just before she leaves, she wants to say something to Jim, but decides against doing it in front of the camera.
Oh.
I wonder what it was.
Yeah, they're tantalising us, aren't they?
They are. Because we want to see them get... I mean, even from the season before, we want to see them get together.
Yeah.
And they're just teasing us. And we close with Elton John's Tiny Dancer. The real version, not the one that Michael did.
Oh, no wonder he got heckled.
That
was awful.
That was a shocking version. Well,
yeah, and again, that's when The Office hits the heartstrings, which is something it does really, really well.
It does. And we're going to talk about that now because I'm going to say why I think it's worthy of entry into our Hall of Fame.
Oh, here we go, a drum roll.
Ta-da! Well, I think in this episode, and in a lot of episodes from here on in, The Office strikes the perfect balance in Michael's character of being annoying and infantile. Completely can drive you into complete rage.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's got a really good heart underneath. And the Dundies is an example of that because he wants to acknowledge and celebrate his staff. But in doing this, he aggravates them beyond belief and spends much of the night just indulging his own desire to get up and show off and
yeah, it's all
tell
about
these
him.
jokes.
In that it's meant to be all about them, but it's all about him. But as you say, he's got a good heart, so he sort of believes that he's really helping out this team of people who work hard all year. And his way of showing that appreciation is to completely monopolise the entire thing.
Yeah, he almost views it as a...
Showcase. It's his showcase.
It's a mental health exercise, positive reinforcement for them, but yeah, it's a shocker. So they get Michael's character just on that perfect razor's edge of being someone you want to cheer for, but also someone you want to kill at the same time.
Yeah. Look, I don't know what you're about to say, but and I don't want to tread on it, but the thing about The Office US, the whole thing is a masterpiece of characterization and observation. And they just, I don't even have the words for it, really. It's just amazing the way they do it all.
Well, there's so much humour, but at the same time it can be quite dramatic and the actors can do everything, really. Make you laugh and make you cry. And we go on a similar journey to Pam, I think, in this episode as well. We find Michael annoying enough to, want to go into the toilet and write some graffiti about him, pay him out, but then by the end of it we're rooting for him when the people start picking on him. And finally, when he gives Pam the White Sneakers Award, instead of the longest engagement award, he's won us over.
Totally.
Yeah. Jenna Fisher, who plays Pam, I think she just puts in a brilliant performance in this episode. She really carries it off well and just is the starring performance. She's vulnerable with this relationship stuff that's going on with Roy, but also willing to stand up for herself, and she's really funny when she's acting drunk.
It's a difficult thing. I just would assume that if you're an actor, one of the hardest things to do is get spontaneous laughter across convincingly.
Yep.
And not...
Definitely.
For a single second, you don't doubt. I mean, you're totally immersed in it. You think that's really happening.
Yep. We could probably dedicate a whole episode at some point in the future to drunken comedic acting.
Oh!
We've seen one other example already so far in Father Ted. Pam here, and then I think in Black Books we see the ultimate.
Oh yeah,
Dylan Moran. I think he's the benchmark for drunken acting, but Jenna does a brilliant job here.
Right, we'll put an asterisk on that one. Is Dylan Moran the benchmark for drunk acting?
Yeah, let's see if anyone can top.
Of
top
course,
his-
but none of his drunk acting has any spontaneous laughter in it at all. It's
No.
all scorn, and misery.
Yep.
Oh.
There's one particular scene where Jim is talking to the camera after the Dundies is over, and Pam's just watching him intently and nodding, and yeah, I'm not drunk, I'm paying you close attention, and so she's nodding away, and he turns around and says, "What are you, what are you doing, or whatever?" And she falls off the chair. Very convincing, very funny.
It's just that Dwight immediately sees his opportunity to do all his...
Jumps over a table or something, says, "Stand back, I'm a deputy sheriff." I'll take
And
care of
starts
this.
ripping his clothes off
Starts
for some
ripping his
reason.
shirt.
I still
to-
don't understand. What?
To put it under her head, just cushion her head.
There's probably dozens of cushions around the Chili's venue everywhere. Good on him.
But, why do that when you've got the opportunity to strip off? This also, I think this episode kicks into a higher gear, the romance between Jim and Pam. This is where I think we realise that the relationship between Roy and Pam is doomed
Oh, yeah.
at some point, as we see not only them have this massive row, but then you see her reveal her true feelings for Jim as well.
Yeah.
And Jim actually, in the scene we were just talking about, where Pam's listening and nodding, he says, one of the great things about tonight was we get to see Michael's true feelings for Ryan, when he gives Ryan the hottest...
Yep, the hottest employee award.
hottest employee in the office or something like that. But in fact, what we get to see is Pam's true feelings for Jim. Mm-hmm. And that, yeah, like we said before, that's like an ongoing thing, and they're going to continue to tease us with this for on and off.
For a fair while.
For a fair while yet. Some other nice moments. I think one brilliant thing that having an awards ceremony like this does is it gives almost everyone a chance to shine as they get an award.
Yeah.
So we get to see a lot of the characters. And another one is there's a scene where towards the end, Pam's obviously gotten completely intoxicated, and they were actually filming this at a Chili's restaurant.
Mm.
And Chili's have got a policy that they don't serve alcohol to intoxicated people.
Right.
And at some point, the manager of the restaurant picked up where the story was going, that Pam was going to be blind drunk in Chili's, and they said, well, we've got a real problem here, guys. And but to get around that, they inserted this scene where the actual manager of the Chili's comes on, and he says...
So he was the actual manager and not an actor.
And he says, this lady, she was stealing drinks from other patrons. So that's how they kind of got around that. And they
We've
also
got our
said,
strict policy.
we've banned her from Chili's. She'll never come back in again. So I thought that was just a brilliant way of addressing the problem, and it was funny in the show as well, and you would never know.
It didn't suffer for it, no way.
No.
And he gets his face on television. So it's a win for everybody.
Yep. I haven't mentioned yet that the Dundee is actually a trophy. There's a really funny bit where Kevin gets his award for the Don't Go In There award. And I don't know if it's taken off a weightlifter. It's a weightlifting trophy or something.
Is it
like
really?
That, but it's like someone doing
A squat.
a squat.
Oh, really? They're the sorts of details that you don't necessarily pick up the first time.
Classic.
And we did comment as we were watching it that, that's an embarrassing award and you feel, that's all right, it's Kevin. But then you notice he's with a lady and you just think, I've just realised that he's probably on a date.
He's brought this...
And he's this nice lady.
Yeah.
And as you said, he's punching above his weight there. And he's probably really happy because he gets to go to a night of free booze, which doesn't eventuate. And he's on a date, which is fantastic. And he gets handed that award. And you go, oh dear.
And she's had to sit through Michael and his...
Oh,
all of that.
Yeah, it's tricky. But the really nice thing is, of course, is that Pam and Jim get the applause really going for Kevin, and they lift the moment out of the frying pan, so to speak. Yeah.
I don't know if we ever see his date again. I think she probably ran for the hills.
Mm.
The last thing I want to mention was we've got no laugh. This is a mockumentary, so we've got no laugh track. But what we've got instead is we see the reactions. They do a brilliant job with the reactions in this show.
Yep.
Where someone says something ridiculous and then you'll pan to see someone react to what they've just said. Like a couple of examples from this episode. Phyllis comes up to get the busiest beaver award
Yeah.
And but Michael notices as he's handing her the trophy that the person who did the trophy has actually put Bushiest Beaver on the trophy, and then it pans to Jim and he's like, classic.
So the reaction shot is the new laugh track.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow, there we go.
You got Kevin's date's reaction to him getting the Don't Go In There award, and then Michael's doing this character as part of his act called Ping, which is this Chinese guy who's got like glasses, and he's putting on this really horrendous Chinese accent. He does a whole load of racist jokes. You know, he's doing Ping, and then you pan and you see this Asian lady, this poor Asian lady who's just come in to have dinner at Chili's, and she's
subjected to all of this.
So you get her reaction. So they're like natural reactions, but then you also get these, well, as a Survivor fan, I'd call them confessionals, where the crew of the documentary have sat the character down and is
asked them about it
after them a question, And one of the funny ones here is you get Ryan reacting to his Hottest in the Office award, and he's just completely flummoxed by this.
And what are you going to do with it?
Doesn't know where to go with it. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say about this episode. Have you got anything else you wanted to add?
No, well, I laughed out loud several times, and I was enjoying it so much I didn't take any notes. But it's, because you're instantly thinking, oh, this is going to be car crash comedy. And then, obviously, with Michael doing all his stuff, and it's so awkward and so embarrassing.
And so good.
Yeah, so well observed, and maybe that's the joy of the American style of having a team of writers, is that you'll have, say, one or two writers, and they write this brilliant gag, and another collaborator will see an opening there, and they'll say, we should do this, and another person will see another opening, and let's do this. And when it all fires, you get brilliance like that episode of The Office.
Yeah.
There's so much to go back and see with repeated viewings. I'm going to stop raving about it now.
Okay. So no argument from you there. This one should go into the Hall of Fame.
I think so.
All right.
Yep, I highly recommend this episode. I really liked it. Another good choice there, Steve. It wasn't going to be too long before The Office got in, I don't think.
Yep, and maybe it'll make another appearance.
So we're all going to have to wait till next time to find out. So thanks for joining us on Sitcom Showdown once again.
Yes.
I'll hand the final word over to you, Steve.
Well, thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and looking forward to seeing you soon.
Bye.
Join us next time on Sitcom Showdown, when we'll be putting another 5-star episode under the microscope. And in the meantime, you can contact us with feedback on Facebook, Twitter @Sitcom Showdown, or by email sitcomshowdown@gmail.com.